Hi, this is Kim, and this vlog is part of a series that I'm doing where I am sharing my process with walking out of OCD and sharing my realizations and um, also sharing practical tips that I'm applying in my own life that I am proving to myself, and then sharing how exactly I came to those and how they're playing out. So, in this video, what I wanted to talk about was mind processing versus actual doing, because what I noticed with my OCD, which is expressed mainly as skin picking, um, is that I will, in times where I am confronted by any kind of task or obligation or responsibility, that I immediately create a relationship with that task, obligation, or responsibility of overwhelmingness where I, through obsessively thinking about it, build up this relationship of the task, obligation, or responsibility being unconquerable. And instead of taking the practical steps to actually walk through that which I need to get done, I would pick my skin as an escape because I had built up the responsibility or obligation or task to be something bigger than it actually is. And in essence, in doing that, I am creating an internal environment that I feel needs to be escaped instead of just simply practically doing it. Um, what I noticed with picking my skin is that I will go into a trance-like possession where it feels like time is standing still and much time can pass without my really noticing, and it's really an avoidance mechanism. And I noticed that as I become more aware of the thoughts that go on in my mind through writing them out through my process of self-forgiveness, that I'm writing out my blog, which I'll place a link to in the description box. um, I noticed I would obsessively think about the task that I'm supposed to be doing, and instead of actually just doing it, picking my skin and thinking about doing it. And in this, what's happening is that daily tasks aren't getting done, daily obligations. And as anybody very well knows, life is full of daily obligations that need to be tended to. And if you don't tend to them, they become problems. Um, so, I mean, it's funny because if I think back to my childhood, this avoidance would lead to, for example, a messy room or not getting my homework done. But then as I get older, my obligations become more consequential. This plays out as things like not being able to get to work on time, which is a big deal because I need to get my paycheck to pay my bills, or not paying my bills on time, which is a big deal because I need good credit so that I can get a loan to do things like go to school, or not doing my taxes, which is a big deal, and everybody knows why that's a big deal. So the avoidance, I mean, in my life now, I am slowly, element by element, applying myself towards taking responsibility and getting these tasks done and taking the reins back, grabbing the reins in my life and directing it. Um, so just listing out all these things that I'm not tending to and then systematically tending to them one by one and keeping up on them, um, to create some order in my daily life. Because what I noticed is that I create a world of disorder and chaos, and I seek to escape that. I mean, I create that world through avoiding taking responsibility. I avoid taking responsibility by picking my skin. I pick my skin to escape the absolute chaos that I feel life becomes when I don't take responsibility. So in that is yet another vicious cycle to this disorder. So, um, what I notice when I'm picking my skin is that I'm thinking about what I should be doing and thinking about how I could do it so well and playing out this scenario of doing it really well, or thinking about how it could go horribly wrong instead of just simply doing it. And when I'm picking my skin, I do feel a sense of order. I feel a sense of focus and um, that time standing still experience alleviates the absolute overwhelmingness of the chaos that I feel I face when I'm facing life head on. Um, so in taking control of things element by element, I am showing myself that I can, in fact, face life head on, and building up the skills within myself to be able to do so. And it's awkward because I'm not used to it, and I never developed these skills throughout my life, and it's hard, and I stumble, and get discouraged and all this. But to keep it up, developing that relationship, showing self that self is in fact capable of taking the reins of one's life, and then thus handling the chaotic experience of the external reality in an externalized way, where I'm actually physically dealing with these things, but then to also then stop the thoughts that create the chaotic internal reality. And when I take control of the external reality, I'm creating a platform of stability and a platform of trust that I can then stand on when I look then inward to face myself internally. And to slowly stop, I mean, I'm basically addicted to these obsessive thoughts of everything being out of control and creating this entire internal reality of everything being out of control, and to break that addiction then by systematically stopping the thoughts, because as I take back control of my external reality, I'm showing myself that the internal reality is really not even associated with the external reality. It's like functioning in its own little world. It's creating and generating without any footing in physical reality. And so really, I mean, it has to be dealt with in a way on its own. I develop support through handling my physical reality, but the internal reality is so disconnected from that it has to be managed as well at the same time. So the points that I covered in this vlog are creating the external stability to assist and support self, to create the platform of stability and self-trust with which one then can use to face the internal reality, and instead of mind processing everything with obsessive thoughts and then not acting, and instead going into the obsessive compulsive disorder, to push oneself to immediately act, and at the same time breathing through the obsessive thoughts, because the energy that they create does eventually run out and does eventually stabilize. It's just a matter of pushing through self to constantly and consistently apply self to do the stopping the thoughts, breathing, letting them go over time. It's like an addiction, and it takes time and patience. Okay, so I will continue in my next vlog. Thank you.